Hello world and welcome back to another episode of Ars Nouveau, where today we're going to be covering the very final things in Ars Nouveau as well as Ars Elemental and Ars Instrumentum. Starting off, we have got the basic spell turret. This is made in a crafting table with 4 gold, a redstone block and 4 source gems, and this is from basic vanilla Ars Nouveau. This is essentially going to be our tool of automatically basically dispensing, quote unquote, our spells. Now, this turret can use any spells that are either touch or projectile based, and it will consume source whenever it is fired. Now, the thing is with the turret as well, it will only fire when it gets a redstone signal, just like a dispenser, so you will have to set up some sort of timer for it to work. Now, right off the bat, you can work with the spell turret as is. When you place it down, it will go in the direction of you are facing. However, you can't actually change its direction in any way. You can have it face up, down, left, or right, but if you simply put this inside of its crafting table, it'll turn into an adjustable crafting table. The adjustable crafting table, the adjustable turret is going to be the exact same as the basic turret, except now this can actually, be adjusted. All we have to do is simply right click on our lovely little thing here, and then we just have to right click, shift right click on a location. As you can see, it's changed direction, so we just simply right click on it to select it with our Dominion wand, and then we can choose to send it to any direction and it will change where it's going to go to. There are 2 other types of turret as well with Ars Nouveau. One is the enchanted spell turret, made in the enchanting apparatus with 2 blaze rods and a source gem, and what this is going to do is allow you to actually cast all spells using half the amount of source you would have normally, depending on what the spell is, of course. Now, as this isn't adjustable, that means you can have to only do it in very specific directions, so you can either have it adjustable or have half the amount of enchants essentially, or half the amount of source use. The last type is actually a timer spell. This is made with a basic spell turret and a clock, and this is going to allow you to actually time or automatically set off your different spells. So by default, it will tick every second. If we place this down here, as you can see on the back, we have this little wind up thing. This is basically how quick everything's going to cast. At the moment, nothing is casting on it. If we right click on it, this is going to increase the seconds by 1 second, and if we hold shift and right click, it'll do it by intervals of 10. Now, if you left click, but I'm in I'm obviously in creative, but if you're in survival, if you left click, this will remove it by a second, and if you hold shift and left click, this is going to do it by 10 seconds. If you have it set to 0 seconds, then it will be deactivated. But at the same time, if you have it on any type of seconds but give it a redstone signal, it will stop as well. But now, what can we actually do with these different turrets? Now, I've set up a little thing back here, and this is basically going to be a 1 block tree farm. Now, we have got set here, we've got 3 different turrets. We've got one that has touch and grow in it, one that has touch, fell, and with 2 amplifiers, and one that is touch and place block. Now, the way you actually put a spell on one of these is you have to use your spell book. I have got here grow, as you can see, fell, and then we have place block, and all you have to do is when that is made, all you have to simply do is shift and right click onto there, except I've done something strange there. All you have to do is right click onto there and it will actually use it. You can also do this with parchments as well. If you have a parchment made, you can simply right click this onto there as well. But now let's actually set this up. What I've got basically here is one that's going to be growing our sapling, the second one's going to be destroying the sapling. We then have a Starbuncle here that's going to be storing in 2 different locations. One is whitelisted for only oak saplings, and the other is for everything else. Now, the cool thing about these as well is that they can obviously use place block, and they place block from an adjacent inventory, which is what we have here, as well as that they can actually do pick up, and if they pick up, they will pick up into an adjacent inventory as well. So if we remove this here, not actually hit the Starbuncle, here we've got this guy. Obviously it's only on a second at the moment. Then we're going to want to have fell. I've actually got every 2 seconds, just so it's not permanent, and then here we have every second as well. So what we're going to do is completely grow it. It's actually taking a lot more than I thought. There we go. Place, grow, and fell. It's very simple, very early game. Obviously, you do have to supply its source. I don't know how much source this is actually using. You may be able to get better timings, of course, or using some sort of redstone, I don't know. anything. So that's the basics of turrets. Now there are a couple of other things that we can make as well, one of which is the spell prism. The spell prism is going to be made with 4 pieces of archwood logs, a block of quartz and 4 gold ingots, and this is going to be able to actually redirect where your spell is going to be. So what we have here is we've got a timed spell here, and this is just simply doing break, and on this cube here we can see we've got obviously 6 different sides, but one of them has this little pattern. This little pattern side, that's going to be your output. So if I have this here, what this timer is going to do is start setting this off, and as you can see, it's going to start breaking this up here. Now there may be a point where you just don't want the spell to last any longer. Now this is why we have this at the side here, the void prism. The void prism is going to be exactly as it says, and this is going to allow you to actually void any of your spells that pass through it. It's made with the spell prism, and it's just simply surrounded with obsidian. Now that is going to be everything for vanilla Ars Nouveau there. However, there are some augments we can do with Ars Elemental. We have 4 new turrets here, each of them based on their elemental force. We've got earth, air, water and fire, and each of these made with their essences as well as their foci, which we went over in the previous tutorial. Now by themselves, these guys, they can do everything that the ordinary basic spell turret can do. However, if you end up firing a spell from a specific elemental class that matches with this turret, you'll get a 65% reduction in source used. So if you say you do ignite with the fire one, it will take 65% less source. Same goes with water. Say if you did conjure water, it takes 65% less source. As well as that, as it says in the book, spells shot by these turret will trigger the combos of the corresponding foci. So that means all the foci spells, if we have a shift click here, they have their own combos as well inside of here, and they have their own effects. See, ignite plus evaporation combo will sublimate ice. So you'll be able to do those sorts of things without, as if you're using the foci on your person. So that's what that means as well. So each of these have their own specific types, of course. As you can see here with the air one, it also empowers the cut so that you'll get that on the turret too. So the book will explain everything else, of course. But that's now everything for turrets, and also that means that is everything for Ars Nouveau themselves. From now on, it's all going to be Ars Elemental and Ars Instrumentum, starting with some brand new familiars. The first off is going to be the Flarecannon. The Flarecannon cannot be found in the real world, however the charm can be made, as you can see here, with 2 fire essence, a piece of netherite scrapped, 2 nether bricks and a magma block inside an enchanting table. Now this fella, he's pretty powerful. This guy works very similarly to the Weldon Walker that we showed previously, and is essentially going to be a sentry turret. Wherever you put him down, that is where he's going to be guarding. However, you can actually change where he's going to be guarding, as you can see here, by changing his home. This guy, he's going to attack any mobs that are nearby by using a sort of power effect, and when he ends up being completely damaged and killed, which will eventually happen after all, he will go into this deactivated state. However, you can reactivate him with a piece of blaze powder or a magma cream. Just like so. Now before we get onto the familiar part of him, we're going to move on to the Siren. The Siren can also be made just like so, with 3 pieces of source gem, 3 of any type of fish, a prismarine and a Siren shard. Now in order to get a Siren shard, you are going to have to find a Siren in the world and give them a sea pickle. So just for demonstration, I will summon one in here instead of actually finding one. As you can see like this, if we actually right click on him, they'll do this little flip and they'll give us some shards. However, obviously you won't find them on land, you'll find them in the water, just like that one. Now Sirens, for them to work, you are going to need a piece of prismarine. I've already set this up in here, and just like the other familiars, you will give them a home. As you can see here, we've got ourselves the Siren's Shrine. To make the Siren's Shrine, you first must have a piece of prismarine, just a regular block of prismarine, as you can see here, and then you just simply right click your Siren charm onto it. Just like so. It will take a bit of a charge up of time, but eventually it will turn into it. Now, what these Sirens are able to do is they are able to actually give ourselves any type of fishing stuff based on a block that you have next to it. So I've had one running here for quite a while, and our Sirens have been able to make all these different types of fishing bit. This is exactly the same as, say, the Drigme or the Whirly Sprig. And in order to get more of a bonus, as you can see here, it does say Aquarius bonus 22. You get more bonus by having more aquatic fish, which it does appear that a lot of fish seem to have died around here. We still have a few around here. Or you have a load of aquatic plants. As you see here, we've got kelp, seagrass and sea pickles, and this ball is charging up. The more Sirens you have, the faster this will go, as well as the more fish you have, of course. And I'm very confused why they're all just stationary. Once the craft has completed though, and this ball has got to max size, it will put an item into its adjacent inventory here, and then a piece of source is going to be needed to reset your shrine here. So you can't have this going just passively, you do need a bit of source round here. There we go. I've decided to reset the sirens. Now they're working a little bit better. They'll find obviously just crowds of fish just like so, and you'll get these orbs, and then that is what's basically being sent to here. And once it's big enough, you'll obviously get more. All you want to do is basically get this bonus as high as possible with more fish and more plants. But now let's move on to the familiar sides of it. It works the exact same as every other type of familiar. You're going to need the tablet of binding in order to do that on a ritual brazier to turn these guys into their familiar tokens, as you see here. Now each of these, they can be obviously claimed and then put into the spellbook, and you'll have these two guys inside of here. The first is obviously the Flarecannon. The Flarecannon is going to act basically like a sentry. He's going to be able to attack other mobs with you as you go around fighting stuff. While he is active, you are going to be able to increase the amount of damage that any fire spells have, as well as that it will reduce the cost of any fire related spells as well. As well as that, if you do end up giving this guy some magma cream as well, you will also get a minute of fire resistance. Now it doesn't stack, you only ever get a minute, so just keep some on hand before it runs out. For the Siren, it's a very similar when you have the Siren active. Just like so, the Siren won't actually die on land, which is very handy, but it's going to be able to actually increase any water-based damage spells, as well as give us a little bit of a discount. As well as that, when we are in the water, it's going to give us Dolphin's Grace, so we'll be able to swim very fast with this fella. But for now, that's everything to do with familiars. We are going very quickly, I know, but now let's move on to something in Ars Instrumentum. We've got two more items here, one of which is the Runic Stone of Storage, made with a source gem, piece of lapis lazuli and flint, and this is going to basically, all the way back in episode 1 or 2, we went over how we actually work source relays. Now, using these relays, we can actually may want to, copy some of these instead of resetting every single one the exact same. Well, that's what the Runic Stone actually does. If you go up to a relay, you can hold right click on it, and it will actually copy the settings of it onto your stone. Now, you are able to, by shifting and right clicking on any other types of relays, be able to paste that setting onto it. However, if you do paste it onto a splitter type relay, it's going to add the effect instead of overwriting it. It will overwrite any other type of relay. Very similarly, we have the Scroll of Save Starbuncle, made with a piece of parchment, golden nugget, ink sac, and feather. This is going to be a way of copy and pasting your Starbuncle settings onto other Starbuncles as well. Another cool thing with Ars Instrumentum is the ability to actually transmog our different tools. So instead of having to make 3 different types of armor sets, what we can do is actually take ourselves the Arcanist's hat, and we can turn it straight into the Sorcerer's collar just by having it inside of a enchanting apparatus. Now, if we used a diamond, it would actually be able to turn it into the Battle Mage as well. So we can keep switching all of these as we wish. As well as that, as it says in the book, whenever you do this transmogging effect, it will actually keep all the previously applied enchantments as well, because you will have the same level as well. So what you could do is essentially make a level 3 iron set, and then you can convert it to diamond. Not that it would be a big cost change, but it's something you can do. But speaking of armors, we're now going back over to Ars Elemental, where we have 4 different elemental types of armors you can see here. Now, in 1.19, as it says in the book by the mod author, there is only going to be the sort of quote-unquote middle tier of armor. So you can only get this type, which is the Arcanist, isn't it? Yeah, the Arcanist. So you can only get the Arcanist type. However, each of these types can be made with any type of armor. So you can use the ordinary mages or battle mage. You can use the sorcerers types, as you can see up here, as well as the battle mage types. Now, in order to make each of these, though, you are going to have the tier 3 version of whichever armor you decide to do, and then from that, obviously, you are going to need to do each individual type of armor. Now, each different piece of armor, they have their own abilities. A lot of them are relatively similar. However, when you have a full set on, you will get some bonus augments. Now, to actually make each of these, they're going to each require a Mark of Mystery, which we went over in the previous tutorial, a netherite ingot, and then 2 of their respective essences, such as air, water, fire, and earth. Now, starting off with air here, what's going to happen is whenever you are doing a air-based spell, it's going to amplify the effect of the air-based spell as well as reduce the cost. As well as that, whenever you have a full amount of, whenever you take any damage when you are wearing just one of these pieces, you'll get a reduced amount of damage. Now, air-type damage is very interesting. If you say take full damage, that is air-based damage. If you are flying with the elytra and you crash into a wall, that is air-based damage. Now, if you do end up wearing the full set of armor, any damage you actually take is going to be converted into mana, which is very, very nice. So you will take a reduced amount of damage with all of it. I think if you actually do wear all 4, you won't take any damage, but I could be wrong. But just know you'll be able to convert that damage into mana, which is very nice. The water is going to be the exact same. You'll get a buff and also cost reduction of any water-based stuff. But what you'll get as well is that when you actually are about to die by drowning or lose all your air bubbles, they will be actually regained. As well as that, you will also regain stamina for any water-based damage. So if you're playing in multiplayer and someone gives you a freezing effect of sorts, you will actually heal some mana as well. Fire, you've probably guessed what this is. This will buff and reduce the cost of any fire-based ones, but as well as that, if you do get set on fire, it will immediately put it out if you are wearing the full set. And lastly, we've got air, which does the exact same as air, water, and fire and give you a bust to earth-based spells, as well as give you a reduction in cost. However, when you are actually in the full set, if you're about to starve to death and you are underground, you will actually get a little bit of food back, a little bit of saturation. Now, as well as the 4 armor types as well, there are 2 new threads that are added with the Ars Elemental mod. The first one is Threads of Shocking, made with a Flash Pine, a Lightning Rod, and 2 Air Essence. And this is going to give you shock damage to whoever you fire a spell at before your spell actually completes. And then we also have the Thread of Spores, made with 2 Earth Essences, a Spider's Eye, and a Spore Blossom. And this is going to give your target either poison or hunger before whatever spell you fire at them completes. Moving away from armors now, we're going to go into Ars Elemental Rituals. We're only going to be going over Ars Elemental Rituals, as we've already done an episode completely based on the Ars Nouveau Rituals. The first one we've got here is the Tablet of Attraction, made with a Flourishing Archwood Log, 2 pieces of iron, and an Earth Essence. This is going to allow us to basically have any entities within an 8 blocks radius be pulled towards it. Now, the cool thing about this is that it does actually work on bosses as well as players, which is very nice. So we can set this up to basically use as some sort of magnet, which is pretty cool, as well as if we spawned in any mobs, it would be pulled into it. Next up, we've got the Tablet of Detection, made with a Flashing Archwood Log, 2 Spider's Eyes, a Glowstone Dust, and a Source Gem Block. And this is going to allow us to actually find and see any mobs with a 128 block radius for 10 whole minutes. It has a bit of a warm-up, and it will sound like it's going to burst out. In fact, you do not actually need a Source Jar there to have it activate. And after a bit of time, it will fizzle out, as you see here, and all around here we can now see all the mobs that are in 128 radius. So it's a good way of, say, finding Endermen when you're trying to get to the end. Next up, we have the Tablet of Fast Squirrels, made with a Flashing Archwood Log, a Starbuncle Shard, Sugar, and a Lucky Rabbit's Foot. And this is going to give any Starbuncles within the given area in a 15 cubic radius and a very long speed boost. Now, this speed boost is going to be reapplied roughly every 30 seconds and will last for as long as you give it a source on your ritual. As well as that, if you augmented your ritual with a gold block or a handful of gold blocks, you can actually expand this range up to a 30 cubic radius. Next, we have the opposite of attraction. We have the Tablet of Repulsion, made with a Flashing Archwood Log, 2 Earth Essences, and a Piston. This is going to repel any mobs in a 15 block radius or any entities in a 15 block radius. However, this does not work on players and bosses. What you can do is, however, is augment the ritual with bones, and this will filter it to only work on undead mobs instead. And lastly, we have got the Tablet of Zapping, made with a Lightning Rod, Source Gem, 2 Diamonds, Air Essence, and a Flashing Archwood Log. This is going to actually call lightning down onto any mobs and entities within an 11 by 7 by 11 area. It's quite powerful. Now, if you actually augment this by throwing it in a piece of Air Essence, this will allow the area to work on players. It's been a long journey, but we've now finished all that we can in Ars Nouveau, and that means it's time for a brand new mod, and I'm thinking we move over to 1.20. So what mod do you want me to go over next? There will be a poll in the community tab on YouTube to decide what mod that we are going to be doing next. Who knows what it could be. But if this video helped you out in any way, shape or form, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe and ring the bell button to stay notified when these videos go live. But until next time, guys, take care.